Weeks here, Fantasy of Flight, and I am in Virginia, and that was supposed to turn. Anyway, check that out, Dinosaurville. I am at the Military Aviation Museum, apparently with dinosaurs, and I haven't been here in forever. This is Jerry Yegan's place, and Jerry has since retired. When he was building the place, I sent him the drawings for Fantasy of Flight. As you can see, he semi-copied it. Anyway, they've got an air show this weekend. I'm actually up for a conference in different airplanes over there. I'm actually up here for a conference in Virginia Beach at the ARE Foundation, the Edgar Casey deal. I didn't realize there was an air show, but anyway, I'm going to hook up with Keegan and potentially get a tour. So let me pull into the parking lot here, Military Aviation Museum, and then find out where he is at. He could be anywhere. Let's go see what Keegan's doing. And Jerry was interested in basically creating this deal. I sent him the drawings for Fantasy Flight, and they kind of semi-inspired him. He did their checkerboard water tower. Pretty cool. Kind of out in the middle of the boondocks, but it's pretty cool. So here we go. We'll see where Keegan shows up.
Hi, sir. Can I help you?
Just waiting for Keegan.
Perfect. Does he know you're here?
Yeah, he's gonna meet me here.
Okay.
It's like a Vin Fizz or something. Well, that's not a right plane. It was, yeah, Vin Fizz. A right X Flyer. Oh my God, that looks like something I'd like to hop down the runway. Not sure what. That is a static for sure. That is a scaled down Sopwith pup, I think. Anyway, interesting. It's got a little upstairs. Got a buzz bomb. This one's a lot more complete than mine. He's got the engine in it and all that, as I remember. I always say I don't collect anything I don't intend to fly, but this is one in my collection that I don't intend to, so. All right, so what's happening? You got a big show this weekend?
Yeah, a couple thousand folks coming out to enjoy the Warbirds Over the Beach air show.
Wow. So I see a couple of them out here. One of the pilots came in and introduced himself to me. He's about to check out in the P-51.
That's going to be Johnny Jr.
Yeah. I met him a long time ago, but I meet so many people. Well, cool. Yeah, so I mean, if you got time, just show me around what's going on.
Yeah, absolutely. Obviously they're working hard out there with the airplanes and getting as many flying for the show as we can. But what do you want to see?
Well, I kind of walked around here, so I kind of got this. We just walk around just quick through the hangars and
absolutely.
See some of the airplanes, and I vaguely. So what's it cost to get in? What's your hours?
So it's $17 for an adult. We do have discounts for seniors, active duty military, veterans, retirees, first responders, so on. And our hours are 9 to 5. We're open every day except Christmas and Thanksgiving Day.
Wow,
so
that's awesome.
We are kind of a great spot if you got to get that airplane fixed. Now, unfortunately, the grand reveal of the hangars isn't exactly what it normally is because
Right,
the airplanes
because-
are out getting ready to
Yeah,
fly.
for sure. Oh my gosh. Have you guys flown this thing on the water?
Haven't, but
I've got one that came out of Uruguay that I'd love to restore one day.
well, I think Jerry had a vision at one time that this property was going to abut the water. He kind of figured out a series of land acquisitions that would take us back to a waterway. And that's why the airplane was restored to operate from water. But that kind of didn't come to pass. And so what we have here is an artifact from a vision for this place that involved active seaplane ramps and
Wow.
as well.
Yeah, you know, it was when I was looking for property for fantasy flight, it was the same thing. There's no place on the planet that has vintage seaplanes that you fly in the natural environment. So, yeah, I'd love to get mine going one day.
Just come fly this one with us, Kermit.
Well, there you go. And since y'all don't have a place to fly vintage seaplanes on the water,
We
Jerry
have to
needs to
work
sell me
something out.
those kingfishers.
Sell you the kingfishers. Somehow I knew that would come up.
Oh my gosh. Well, super. So he got us a little car. Oh, what the hell is this?
I think you know this, but
Oh, is this one of those floatable ones?
yeah, the act of collecting airplanes sometimes means when you're in a hangar picking up a cool airplane, a lot of times there's some other interesting stuff in there too. So
Oh my
we've
gosh.
had things kind of gather alongside the airplanes. over the years.
I always had that problem hanging around bars. I'm just saying. A Messerschmitt.
Yeah,
Oh
so,
my gosh.
the other,
That holds two people or two
Well,
kids.
I guess in post-war Germany it did. Yeah.
Oh
But we
my-
also have the Messerschmitt sewing machine
No
that they built
way.
as well. So a lot of those companies look for ways to kind of keep their industrial base going after the war, where they weren't allowed to build,
I
fighting
think
machines.
Disney Springs, they have a place where you go in and people go riding around
the
in the
reference
lake.
people usually give us is LBJ had one.
LBJ
so there was
had
famous
one.
films of him driving it at his ranch in Texas.
TBM. That's great. Do y'all fly this? Or?
Yeah, so this one's on the schedule to be flown this weekend.
Great. I tell you what, that is an intimidating looking airplane. This was the easiest warbird I ever flew. It's a pussycat, but it's got the heaviest frickin' ailerons. I'd been flying my Wildcat, and the TBM was the last airplane I flew out of Miami from the hurricane because it got damaged and needs some stuff in there. I've been flying the Wildcat, and the cockpit feels the same or whatever. It's a Grumman, and anyway, so man, I got on the TBM and I took off and I thought, holy shit, the controls are locked, and then I forgot how heavy the ailerons were. Oh my gosh. Oh wow.
Well,
Pretty.
what always amazed me about it is how big it looks and then how small the engine looks when you take the cowlings off.
Yeah.
If they're ever doing any work up there, it's kind of like that whole airplane hangs on that engine.
Well, that's still 2,600, 1,600 horsepower.
Yeah, it's still no small engine, but I guess a statement of how big the airplane is.
Is that a ride airplane back there?
It was. That has actually just been sold and is on its way
Okay.
onto a new home up north.
Huh. I've got one there we go, it's the Wildcat. That's a fun little flying airplane.
So this is one of our favorites here because this one was actually stationed just a few miles away from the airport now here in Virginia Beach during the war.
Wow.
So there wasn't a town of Virginia Beach at that time or a city yet. So the Naval Auxiliary Air Station Pungo is what was here in this area, and this Wildcat was there at the end of the war.
Cool. Is it a FM2?
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
an FM2.
Yeah. I don't know if
And,
anybody's got an F4F flying.
There is one.
Is there? Yeah.
But this one was the one that the DuPont family had.
Oh yeah, yeah.
So-
Well, no, I bought the other one that from Lex DuPont. I think was the guy who
I'm
he's
not sure which
south
one.
of Philadelphia.
Yeah.
Yeah, he I did a deal on it, and then he was restoring it, blah blah blah, and all of a sudden the prices kept going up, and we hadn't done the deal yet. And I said, I'll just go ahead and take it the way it is, and I paid like 190 grand for it or whatever.
That's a good
And at the
price for a
time
Wildcat.
they were going for 300, but a lot of my collection was back in the 80s.
They're pretty amazing little airplanes. It's a crowd favorite here, and so is the PBY. I know you have two of them.
Yeah, oh my gosh.
This one's been flying and together as an airplane for 80 years.
Is this the one that came out of England? Amsterdam or something?
I don't know the exact backstory, but what I know is the logbooks for this airplane show it here at Naval Station Norfolk during the war.
Oh, cool.
So, you know, it's
Yeah,
almost
'cause
like
the-
it was supposed to come home with us.
Yeah, because the Navy base is not too far from here, right?
Right.
Huh.
So we've got to depart right now because we're going in and doing some deep corrosion control and things like that. It being flown consistently for 80 years meant that there was a lot of little things that just kind of caught up with it.
Wow. How much of the flight engineer station is in there?
The gauges and the seat are in there.
Yeah, okay.
That's about it.
Huh.
And then this one was modded with the side door and the windows. Afterwards, it had kind of a bunch of couches and things like that in there.
Wow.
So they've been working to put a wartime interior back in it, but some of that work is what led us to the realization that on its 80th birthday in October of last year, the airplane really just needed some TLC.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, you know, originally they had the flight engineer up there, and so he was operating all the stuff there.
Because the window rolls down with a hand crank.
Oh,
and it's
wow.
like the coolest seat in the house.
Oh my gosh! But the purpose was because the pilot and the co-pilot were supposed to be looking for Japanese fleet ships and stuff like that. So that's why they designed to put that there. But of course, post-war, everybody just shoved everything up in the cockpit because you didn't need that. Huh.
It's the coolest seat in the house. Like if you ever get a chance to ride up there, it's a tremendous view.
Well, that's interesting.
Makes it a little easier to see from in that engineer window.
Oh yeah, perfect. Super.
And one nice thing that ours
PT-19.
has, it's covered up is the glass is the multi-part, multi-piece. It's not the kind of molded blisters.
Right.
So
Cool. T-28. I don't talk about those. That's beyond my era of interest.
I'll make you a good deal on this.
Oh no, my God! It's like, never mind.
It's an interesting thing because when the collection was just getting started, T-28, T-34, things like that came into the collection because
Right.
there's a lot of people here in this community that had flown them before and knew that they'd be good trainers and things like that. But it's almost like an embarrassment of riches situation over time as you're flying Corsairs and TBMs and things
Right.
like that. You tend to forget to fly some of that other stuff.
Wow. Huh.
And over time, they just kind of squeak towards the back of the hangar. So we've started asking ourselves, you know, are we the highest and best use for some of these things? Or are there
Right.
other people
Yeah.
who might benefit from having some of those kinds of airplanes in their collection?
Cool. All right. We got another hangar on the other side.
You want to walk down the ramp to get there?
Yeah, absolutely. Too cool. So how many people do you normally expect at one of these shows?
So between about 2,000 and 4,000 people.
Okay.
They're kind of boutique affairs in a sense. You know, really for the warbird diehard.
It's like a FG-1D because it's got the full ring. F4U4 I think's got the 2 on there and the 5s, or maybe I'm got it backwards, but I got one of each. Pretty cool. Bamboo bomber.
There's a guy doing a cockpit checkout right now. This is Gooch. Gooch is a retired naval aviator, and his
What's
dream is to
happening?
fly these.
Good to see you.
Good, awesome.
What are you doing out here?
Oh, well, I'm actually out for a conference. I didn't know y'all were having a show this weekend, so I had to stop in and see Keegan.
I appreciate it.
Walk around. I haven't been here since like 2016.
Remember that? You had a parrot on your...
No, it was my ostrich. I signed 565 books and handed them out to everybody. Oh my God.
Yeah, are you getting your checkout today, or?
First flight today.
He parked that in the way.
After Johnny goes in his Mustang. What'd you say?
I said he parked that in the way.
Son of a bitch. Full power.
Well,
Well, good to see you.
good luck with all that.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah, so see the hangars. They're pretty cool. You kind of see a little bit of the influence that, you know, Jerry just took the basic layout, P40. Bamboo bomber, Sky Raider. See, I don't really collect anything with a prop after World War II that relates to like military stuff. A couple of early Korean helicopters, Korean jets, a couple of early airliners.
The Sky Raider and the Tiger Cat have to be the exception.
Well, I have the Tiger Cat.
Yeah, you got a Tiger
But
Cat.
that was a wartime airplane. This wasn't.
This was designed during the war.
It was designed, but it didn't.
Yeah.
Didn't combat.
I'll grant you that.
Yeah.
But this one's.
Yeah.
I think.
Otherwise, the Martin Mars would be on the top of the list. You know.
You know, we talk about it a lot here because it doesn't really fit within the scope of the collection as it was laid out, but it's such a tremendous airplane to see it fly, and it's such a crowd pleaser. We just have a hard job saying anything other than nice things about it. This particular airplane did 3 tours in Korea on different aircraft carriers. So if you know your Korean War history, you know that we got pushed all the way to the southern end of the peninsula, and there was kind of a pretty dire situation to try to keep hold of that ground. So this particular Sky Raider was there, flying, you know, all-weather combat support and bombing those troops, trying to lift the pressure on that bridgehead.
Wow.
And it's at a time when evidently not enough aircraft were available in the Navy for them to have the luxury of sending out a carrier with its own air wing each time.
Right.
So what would happen is one carrier and crew rotated home, the airplanes would be shifted onto the next ship, and that's how come this one ended up passing between the different aircraft carriers that it did in the Sea of Japan during 1950.
Wow.
So we like having it here because it's a pretty unique piece of history.
Yeah. So you're the Military Aviation Museum, so it makes sense.
There's got to be an exception that proves the rule when you're working on your big World War II collection, you know?
Yeah. I mean, the one that at some point I would love to have, but it doesn't fit within my thing, is a Bearcat.
Yeah.
You know, but anyway, but I mean, you know, what these things did in Vietnam was amazing.
Yeah, and
the
so
stories
this
there.
Work because it never went on to Vietnam because
cool.
it was so war weary at the end of Korea that it became the gate guard at Naval Air Station Atlanta.
Wow.
And so multi-year restoration to take it back from a gate guard into a flying airplane is what gave us this beautiful Sky Raider.
Cool.
With the 3350 and all.
Awesome. Here comes the P40. So everybody's like rechecking out kind of now before the show?
Yeah, there's you know, as all the pilots are here for the show, it's a good opportunity for them to move up into their next airplanes and so on. That's actually Tim Savage's P40.
Okay,
from
cool.
down in Florida.
Oh, no way. Where's he based out of?
Ocala, the big flying community.
Oh, yeah, Leeward Air Ranch.
Yep.
Yeah, I've got my little 2 aerobatic airplanes are being rebuilt up there right now. Oh, that's cool. Did he just come in from Florida?
Yep.
Love the sounds.
Oh, yeah.
That's supposed to be a T6 P64?
It's a P64 replica, but it's a T6 with a T28 engine on it, basically.
Yeah, okay.
The role that it kind of plays here is interesting because it becomes an intermediate step between the T6 and the other fighters. So JR, who's just climbing out of it,
cool.
You know, he's practicing up on that to move into airplanes like the TBM.
Yeah, good.
So we basically have our own fully running pilot pipeline to kind of keep the airplanes up and stocked with pilots.
Cool. I just had my water tower repainted. It was you got to do it about every
5 years, it feels like.
Yeah, well, 7, 8 or something like that. But we finally just went ahead and got on a program where we just pay them an annual fee, and it's part of the deal. I think every 7 years they repay it instead of just waiting. And but every year they come in, they check it for rust and stuff like that.
I might get you to send me that information because I don't know how many people are in the private water tower club.
Yeah, me, Jerry Yegan. That's about all I know. Oh my God! I always thought if you ever, if you had to, you could make a cool 2-story apartment out there with a hot tub up there overlooking. Mine's 165 feet high. I don't know what that one is, but
yeah, not quite that tall.
Cool. He's gonna go check out in the Mustang. I bumped into me in the gift shop there when I was waiting for Keegan. That's the P39.
Oh, yeah, we should go take a close look at that.
Yeah, so this is the one that came out of New Zealand.
Yes.
And all my parts down there that Murray made are still in Wangaratta.
Are you sure some of them aren't still in that airplane?
Yeah, who knows? No, I mean, all I did was I had sent a project down that, was not, it had a you know, was part of an original airplane or whatever. But basically, when Jerry's was being done there in Wangaratta by Murray Griffiths, he made me all extra parts. So none of mine ever got together. So mine, I just have a pile of parts at this point. So are you guys happy with this?
Yeah,
it looks great.
It's been terrific. Testament to the restoration skills of the guys at Pioneer Aero that did it. They're the same ones working on our Dauntless right now.
Right, yeah.
And what just a great group of guys to work with, careful researchers, talented craftsmen.
Yeah, well, I mean, like I said, my parts are still down in Australia, and you know, at some point it might make sense to let those guys do it if they still have all the knowledge.
Oh yeah, it's I mean, it's a quirky airplane to operate, but just because it has a nose gear around here,
Yeah,
that's not all that common. So, you know, especially training volunteer teams to be sensitive to the nose gear when they're moving the airplane in and out of the hangar. There's a lot that goes with the care and keeping of something when it's unusual,
Right.
you know, by comparison to the other aircraft in the collection.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. I got a P-63 as well that at some point it's pretty much together though.
Yeah, yours is neat.
That's awesome. I'm getting inspired every time I see these things. I go, oh yeah, that's really cool. Yeah, I'd like to get that going. I'd like to get that going.
So the nose gear is kind of a funny thing. We spent a long time trying to get the right nose gear for it.
Huh.
The wheel itself. And
Really?
so this is just now flying with the right wheel on it, and we had kind of a substitute for a while, but it makes a big difference on the grass to have the kind of grass configured gear.
Oh really?
Yep.
Huh. Cool. Wow. And that's like an original, got that out of England or something, the little control tower?
Yeah, the tower down there is
cool.
from RAF Goxhill.
Huh. All right, the other hangar. Yeah, see, that was a cool idea. He did that in the middle to make more of a bigger museum.
Yep.
But in the long run, when I designed my whole facility, it was only ever designed to be my shop. And we adapted the attraction into it with the concept that if it didn't work out, I had a great place to work for my airplanes, and that's exactly what happened.
I just love that you've been doing this long enough that you were able to inspire a whole wave of other collectors. And
Oh my gosh.
no, I'm good.
All right, got a little L5. Looks like we got a 100 gnome back there. Okay.
Weekend demonstrations here, kind of our bread and butter.
Oh yeah.
So
Cool. Chipmunk. Oh, now that's pretty cool. I don't remember this.
yeah, so this one's the one of two, right, that are flying in the world, flyable in the world.
Wow.
There's some build quality issues with it. I mean, it's not a
And,
regular
and
flyer.
where did it come out of?
Russia.
Oh, okay.
So the restoration was done over there.
Huh.
Doesn't have the original engine that's been fitted for an Allison.
Oh, okay.
And what's fascinating about it is the sort of Russian construction methodology that uses a lot of wood, because they just didn't have the luxury of the aluminum that we were able to use, the aluminum alloys. that's
Wow.
used for aircraft.
Oh, there's the P-64. 3, I mean, sorry. It's like Lenin.
Yeah. You know, all those weird things that you pick up when you're out picking up an airplane.
I know. Oh my gosh. Oh, this is awesome.
Now,
I-15.
You've got an I-16, right?
Yeah, I got an I-16.
So
One.
we've got the 16 to 15 bis and the 153. And
Yeah.
the PO2.
Too cool. Yeah, these I would love to get one of those if they're around. Yeah, so I ended up, this was one of the Tim Wallace ones right out of New Zealand.
Yeah, and you got the one that was at CAF out in Midland.
Yeah, they pulled the engine out of it because they've got basically, it's got an AN2 engine in it.
Yeah.
They pulled it out and used it in their AN2. I'm like, you're kidding me. I think they flew it about 35 hours. And so when I got it, it had a kind of a stuffed engine in there. But no big deal. I mean, it's, did you guys fly it much or any at all?
Not really any at all.
No? Okay.
The way we've kind of looked at it is every airplane here is on the journey to being a flyer.
Yeah.
We never do anything to the airplanes that would prevent them from becoming flyers, but maintaining the sort of core flying collection means that 5 airplanes have to be in maintenance at all times during the year to
Right.
kind of keep them cycling through.
Okay,
So,
all of my followers, y'all just listen to what he just said, okay? They're all in line, and the intent is we're going to fly them. So
yeah, you
I'm
you
just
know,
saying.
the logistics of flying an airplane are actually
Yeah.
significant, and so keeping 30 airplanes flying means that you have to pace yourself
Yeah.
on the restoration aspect or on adding new airplanes to that rotation.
Yeah,
So,
I think the most I ever had at one time, we celebrated our 15-year anniversary, and I flew 15 different airplanes over 3 days,
pretty
five,
cool.
and 5. But and it was great. I loved flying, and when I was doing there, when I could share it. But I was just losing so much money. Eventually, my dream is, we're going to get back to that, but it's got to be a sustainable business.
yeah, well, I mean that's a big part of it. So, one of the ways we are able to sustain that level of activity is that Jerry
Yeah,
has left an endowment that protects the flying future of these airplanes.
Yeah, that's
and
awesome.
You've also got to be responsible with that. You can't overspend and spend down the principal, otherwise you damage the ability to do this in the long term.
yeah, for sure. Did you guys get this back?
No, this is a different one.
Yeah, because you sold the really nice
Yeah.
one.
And
A while back.
Jerry purchased almost immediately after that. Jerry regretted that, having sold it. So he did purchase another one down in New Zealand, and had it painted
cool.
up as the first one because he missed that specific airplane.
Oh,
so
cool.
I can open the door. I mean, this one's pretty nice inside.
Oh yeah, yeah. That's always something I kind of had an interest in. I mean, it is a nightmare restoration. There are so many different aspects. Some of the early British stuff were just so wood and metal and blah blah, and
I'm always intrigued by the fact that to get to the control cables and everything, this one has zippers
Oh
in
wow.
the belly of the airplane.
190. Is this one of those?
This is a Flugwerk replica. It's kind of the archetypal weekend bad guy around here.
Right.
So
And what's it got? A 2800 in it?
it's actually got a Chinese-built licensed version of a Russian engine.
Really?
It's an Ash 82, but the Chinese version.
Okay, that's probably the same thing like in a TU2.
Yeah.
Okay. Which I've got 3 of.
Well,
If there's a possible trade there that you might be interested in. Cool. That's awesome. That's a beautiful airplane.
it gets shot down every weekend, and the fans love it.
Oh my gosh. Tiger Moth. I've flown these things, and I've got a Stomp, and this is like an old man's airplane. And a Stomp, the Rothmans used to do a 4-ship formation team in them, and it's just, there's no comparison. The Stomp is a far better flying airplane, and this thing is just kind of like going out and having a tea while you're flying around in a calm evening. But anyway,
always stands out to me about it is essentially the same role for flight training as a steerman. And when you've got the two of them on the
Wow.
ramp next to each other, you realize just how completely different they are. The steerman is huge
yeah,
by comparison. The British built everything slight and delicate,
Yeah.
conservation of materials and things like that. It always amazes me just how stout a steerman is by comparison.
yeah. The one that I've not flown yet that I'd really one day love to get is a Gypsy Moth.
Oh yeah.
And just looking at it, I don't know why the Gypsy Moth's got more straight wings and this one's like really swept. So I'm not sure.
So I may be wrong here, and I'm sure some of your fans will
Yeah,
jump in to
me
tell us
too.
if we are. But as I recall, the wing sweep has everything to do with the placement of the wing being moved forward, but kind of keeping the center of gravity of the airplane in a certain place.
Oh, yeah,
because they were wanting people to be able to get in and out of that forward cockpit
Right.
easier.
Okay. Yeah. Maybe that was it would snap roll easier because of the.
Something is lurking in the back of my brain saying that that's at least part of why
Yeah.
things are that way.
Yeah. It would have been a CG consideration, but I'm trying to imagine where the wings might have been on the Gypsy Moth, and they might have been further back, and it was harder to get in the front cockpit. Oh wow, that's pretty cool. Yeah, so this was a
That's the Mayocraft built one.
replica one that was, but it looks awesome.
Yeah. It's definitely something we'd like to see back flying and flying more regularly, but it kind of falls into that category of airplanes that need a little more TLC than we have time in the shop for right now.
Right. Yeah, pretty cool. Planes of Fame's got an original one. There was another one that basically was somewhere down in, I think, Panama or somewhere down there was the last time I said, but nobody's ever really found it.
The guys up at Legend Flyers right now are building two replicas.
Oh, great.
They're going to be finished up. So last time we were up to look at the Zero, they were kind of loading all that stuff into the hangar to begin the next project.
Cool. LA 11? No, 9.
9, yeah.
Yeah, I've got an 11, but it doesn't fit my collection because it's Korea airplane. Somewhere that airplane would be open for a trade.
Well, this one is too.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
All right. I mean, this fits in my collection, but yeah, we'll see. Maybe there's some things going. Oh my God! So that's the 153. Yeah, the I-15 is the fixed gear. This is the retractable gear. God, this stuff. This is the period and stuff that I really love. Yeah, this is awesome. So this was another one built in Russia. Too cool. Oh my gosh.
I love that the wing kind of has that gull wing down so the pilot can see forward.
Yeah. Yeah, the other one that I would love to have, I think what is the PZL 24 or something?
Oh, yeah.
But it's a parasol. It's got that wing on there. Polish airplane, I think. PO2.
Yes.
So I got one of those.
Don't judge our homemade defensive armament.
Oh, no big deal. Yeah, I flew this thing really flies nice. I mean, it really flies nice.
Do you have brakes on yours?
No. Tail skid, fly it off the grass.
Neither us. We fly it off grass, but when we do the flight demos with it, people always get a kick out of the volunteers kind of grabbing the wingtips and pointing it in the right direction and letting it go.
I'll be darned. Hurricane, you fly this much? Or?
Yeah, so this one's down for maintenance right now, but it was a pretty routine flyer here in the collection up until about 6 months ago.
Wow.
So we're working on fabricating the parts that we need, and when they're in and ready to go, that's when we'll take it off display and actually do the work.
Avro 504. I got one of those. Mine, theoretically, when I bought it, the guy told me it came out of Mexico, had a 160 gnome on it, which was kind of unusual, and the first woman ever to solo in Mexico was in my airplane.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. So, all right, got a Yak 3 with an Allison, obviously. Allison's got a downdraft carburetor.
Kermit, tell us it should have a Hispano, right?
Well, originally it was a Klimov, but the Klimov was a copy of a Hispano Suiza. And I think I ended up with at least 3 or 4 in the collection, so somewhere down the road, if I do something like this, I want to put something in that
looks a little more like the original.
That looks more like it. Yeah, because I've got a Yak 9.
Yeah.
And that's what I would put the Hispano in it, so it doesn't have the scoop down the top.
Did you want to take your fans through the fighter factory and let them
Oh,
see
yeah, for sure. Cool. All right, let's hit it. So we get out. So you just let people walk around right here like this, or?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, cool.
So we ask them not to touch the airplanes. What
Right.
we find is that most of the guests appreciate the airplanes the same way we do.
Yeah, cool.
That they really do abide that and don't climb all over them or beat them up.